At a time when market is so much obsessed with SUVs that every other car that we review is an SUV, driving a sedan gets very refreshing. Something that wraps you in its comfort inside the cabin, looks this classy, and the body dynamics, they just don't bother you. Perfect mantra for highway cruising and happy cruising, right? And Camry on top of it has a big edge because अपनी segment में ये एक लौती sedan है. तो इसका मुकाबला जो primarily होने वाला है वो है with big burly SUVs like the Toyota Fortuner, Skoda Kodiaq and even the Volkswagen Tiguan for that matter. But then there are people who argue that SUVs are better fit for Indian road conditions और ज़्यादा practical है. So in this video we are going to find out that how fit is the Toyota Camry for our Indian market. I am Shubham Parashar. You're watching Park Plus, your car app. और चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं. So quite obviously I had to start my experience from this very seat because this is the seat on which most of the owners will find themselves on. Now अगर मैं comfort की बात करूँ then uber comfortable in this segment because यहाँ पर मेरे पास knee room ample है, good leg room as well और under thigh support is also quite decent, so no complaints there. Headroom भी मेरे पास sufficient है. अगर हम सीट की कुशनिंग की बात करें then it is spot on, not too much soft, not too much firm, and I can literally spend hours without getting fatigued in this cabin on these very much seats. Now again recline functions भी मेरे पास है, so you have got a proper screen here integrated in the armrest and you can set the recline angle of your seat backrest के लिए right from here और adjustment काफ़ी ज़्यादा आपको मिलता है. So you have a upright position and if you want to get more comfortable you can recline it all the way back. Then you also have temperature control settings right here for the rear zone, so यहाँ से आप temperature set कर सकते हैं. You have your audio settings right here and mode settings as well. पीछे की जो sun blind है that is electrically operable, something that you typically get in luxury cars but in the Toyota Camry as well you have it right here. So if you want to roll it down or if you want to have it on you can control it right from here. और again reverse करने के टाइम भी ये जो sun blind है वो automatically नीचे जाती है, so convenient for the driver as well. The only thing that I am actually missing having here is the ventilation function for the rear seat because again come on, I am the one who is spending so much money on this very car, so ventilation सिर्फ सामने के seats में क्यों होना चाहिए था. Even on the rear seat I needed ventilation function, so that is something which is a miss in my opinion. But what I like is buttons given on the front seat. So boss buttons है, you can adjust the front seat if no one is sitting there of course, and you can make more room for yourself like I have done right now, and I can easily cross my legs and be more comfortable. So yes, munching miles even being at the rear seat is very comfortable in the Toyota Camry. Now the only thing that could get a bit challenging is actually fitting it a middle passenger at the rear right here because the armrest is quite protruding. There's a hump here in the middle seat and transmission tunnel is also quite tall. So for 4 people the cabin is very comfortable. Middle passenger के लिए थोड़ी सी मुश्किल होगी, but फीचर्स आपके पास डिसेंट मिलते हैं. यू हैव गॉट रियर एयर कॉन वेंट्स और यहाँ पर आपको 2 USB चार्जिंग पोर्ट्स मिलते हैं. सो फॉर 4 आई थिंक in terms of overall comfort and features this space is pretty much sorted. And then the comfort gets accentuated with the ride quality because जो bumps हैं, potholes हैं, वो बहुत ज़्यादा sharp feel नहीं होते यहाँ पर rear seat पे. Again I am very much settled and I am very much comfortable. Vertical movements भी ज़्यादा नहीं है. Just that when my chauffeur is speeding up, and if he's taking any sharp turn, that time I feel a bit a bit of that body roll वो थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा prominent हो जाता है. So that is only a point which needs improvement. Other than that, overall it's a very comfortable experience at the rear seat of the Toyota Camry Hybrid. And with that done, let's get to the driver's seat now and let's see how the car feels like being behind the wheel. So behind the wheel of the Toyota Camry Hybrid now, and let's get the figures out of the way first. So 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine mated to a 160 kilowatt battery pack. and it belts out around 215 brake horsepower at 5700 rpm, and the engine belts out around 221 newton meters of peak torque from 3600 to 5200 rpm. Electric motor say you get an additional torque assistance of 202 newton meters, and that comes from the word go. So the car rolls on इलेक्ट्रिक पावर. जब आप लॉन्च कर रहे होते हैं उस समय इलेक्ट्रिक पे गाड़ी स्टार्ट होती है, एंड यू नो दैट्स व्हाई इट सेव्स ऑन फ्यूल बिग टाइम. एंड स्पीकिंग ऑफ फ्यूल इकोनॉमी, you know, I have been driving mostly it in the eco mode right here, and believe me, in town I have been getting around 15 to 16 kilometers per liter, which is quite impressive for a car this segment, courtesy the strong hybrid setup. Highway mein it went up to around 21 kilometers per liter, so yes, quite pocket friendly it is. And power delivery की अगर हम बात करें, then this car prefers relaxed cruising. You know, you don't feel any jolt, any jerk in the way it delivers on the power. Eco mode में भी you have ample reserve of power for happy highway cruising. If you want to make frequent overtakes, normal, because थोड़ा सा better हो जाता है power output and delivery, and you can again keep on going with a bit more speed. City में eco is what I prefer. On highway I switch to normal mode. But if you want to get a bit aggressive with your driving, sport mode is something you should be picking up, and as you can see, the power delivery gets aggressive there. Also, in sports mode it's very easy to make overtakes and all, and you know, the fuel economy is compromised a bit. So in normal you get around 20 kilometers per liter on the highway. I think fuel economy is the USP of the Camry because pocket पे काफ़ी कम खर्चीला पड़ता है. Now coming to the ride quality, very plush, very settled on the road. You know, all those thuds and bumps, those speed breakers, potholes, they don't filter inside the cabin too much, and it feels very pliant, very settled. You don't feel any sharp pinch in your back. So in terms of ride quality, I think this cabin is pretty much sorted. The only thing you know, when it comes to ride quality is that जो NVH levels है वो थोड़े से better हो सकते थे, because at higher revs you get to hear the engine a bit, and also the thuds and all when you go over them, when you go over a rough patch, वो थोड़े से ज़्यादा सुनाई देता है cabin के अंदर. Nothing which can be a deal breaker, but yes, could have been a bit better. Now coming to the handling part, that is bit of an Achilles heel for the Camry, because वहाँ पर body rolls जो है वो higher speed पे थोड़े से पता आपको ज़्यादा चलती है. You know, when you are maneuvering, when you are changing the lane, because remember the curve weight is over 1600 kilograms, so it is a heavy car. It has got a big battery pack as well. So when you are changing lanes, when you are cornering, you know, you feel the mass and you feel the shift. Turn-ins जो है वो उतने quick नहीं हैं जितने you know you get in the car, in other cars of this segment. So वहाँ पर थोड़ा सा improvement हो सकता था, but again nothing that can be you know unnerving, because the nature of this car is comfortable highway cruising, and that's where it scores really well. Just one thing, that the turning radius of 5800 millimeters, which is 5.8 meters, वो थोड़ा सा अच्छा हो सकता था, because when you're ambling in the city और जब आप park कर रहे होते हैं, then you need to you know make a few more cuts and turns to park it properly. So I think turning radius could have been a bit better for a car this size. Other than that, you know, no other complaints here. This remains a perfect highway cruiser and one hell of a mile muncher. I think on a longer commute I'll be more comfortable in the Camry compared to any other SUV, of course, as far as I'm driving on the road. So the moment you step inside the Toyota Camry, there are two major takeaways. First, the kind of comfort it offers, and then the sense of durability and sophistication it offers. Yes, you know, in terms of comfort, let's begin with that. The seats are quite accommodating for people of all sizes. Yes, frames of all sizes, even as wide as in me. I am quite comfortable right here on these seats. I have got decent under thigh support, and even the lumbar support is quite good, and the cushioning is spot on. It's perfect, feels very much comfortable even on a longer commute, and munching miles in this car is very easy and very comfortable. Then this comes with all kind of adjustment. You have 10-way power adjustment for these seats right here, and the co-driver seat also gets the Boss adjustment right here. So the rear passenger can adjust it to his comfort when there's no one sitting here on the co-driver seat. Then in terms of execution, just the way the cabin has been designed and the quality of materials that has been used, it feels very upmarket and very premium. You have got soft touch upholstery right here on the dashboard, on the top of the dashboard, and same treatment all over the cabin wherever you will be brushing your hands. So उस मामले में काफ़ी प्रीमियम और एक काफ़ी लग्जरी फील आपको आती है यहाँ पे. एंड ऑल्सो नाइस यूज़ ऑफ एलिमेंट्स लाइक ये जो क्रोम फिनिश आपको मिलता है ऑन द डैशबोर्ड. ब्रश्ड को वेरी सटल एंड वेरी मिनिमलिस्ट in terms of look and appeal. सेम गन मेटल ट्रीटमेंट ऑन द डैशबोर्ड एंड ओवरऑल वाई एलिमेंट का जो ये डिज़ाइन है सेंट्रल कंसोल का काफ़ी क्लासी लगता है देखने में. You have got wood finish as well on the dashboard and on the central console, so very nicely executed, very evenly spread, and I like the choice of color because काफ़ी well balanced है. You have got black on the top, you have got light beige here on the bottom, and dark wood treatment. So जो ओल्ड स्कूल लग्जरी कार की फील है वो अभी भी कैमरी में आपको मिलती है, एंड दैट इज समथिंग आई क्वाइट लाइक. फिर अगर फीचर्स की बात करें देन इट इज़ क्वाइट अ वेल लोडेड कैबिन. यहाँ पर आपको 3 जोन क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल सिस्टम मिलता है. सो यू हैव सेपरेट जोन फॉर द को ड्राइवर, फॉर द ड्राइवर एंड फॉर रियर पैसेंजर्स, एंड यू हैव ऑल्सो गॉट वेंटिलेटेड सीट्स राइट हियर. जो आगे के दोनों सीट्स है ये वेंटिलेटेड है, पीछे की सीट्स वेंटिलेटेड नहीं है. सो दैट इज समथिंग विच इज़ अ मिस इन माई ओपिनियन. वहाँ पर भी वेंटिलेशन फंक्शन हो सकता था बिकॉज रिमेंबर द ओनर्स विल बी स्पेंडिंग मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम एट द रियर सीट. So that is a miss in my book. Also यहाँ पर आपको EV मोड के लिए डेडिकेटेड बटन भी मिलता है when you want to use the electric range and save on the fuel. So that is also a feature that you get on the hybrid cars. The only miss up front right here is that you only get USB cable point right here. So no type C charging ports, which is a miss in my opinion. फिर अगर हम टच स्क्रीन सिस्टम की बात करें देन यू हैव गॉट दिस 9-inch टच स्क्रीन जो हम अपने अभी हाल फिलहाल में टोयोटा की सभी गाड़ियों में देखा है. बट it comes with wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Wireless connectivity नहीं है, which at this price point again is a miss in my opinion. Also in terms of execution, graphics जो है ये थोड़े old school feel करते हैं compared to other cars in the segment. In terms of response touch कोई ऐसा issue नहीं है. Just the way it has been designed and executed, I think जो इसका interface है वो ज़्यादा intuitive और ज़्यादा engaging हो सकता था. Again, what I like is that it gets JBL sound system. So 9-speaker JBL sound system, which sounds very acoustic, and I quite like the feedback here. Also you have got a sunroof right here at the front, and overall in terms of features I think I can't complain much. जो थोड़ी बहुत चीज़ें थी वो वहाँ पर adjust हो सकती थी. But what I quite like here is that जो steering wheel है इसके लिए आपको पावर एडजस्टमेंट मिलता है, इलेक्ट्रिक एडजस्टमेंट यहाँ पर मिलता है फॉर बोथ रीच एंड ब्रेक, एंड दैट इज समथिंग विच आई क्वाइट लाइक. ये एक आपको लग्जरी कार की फीचर है जो कैमरी में भी मिलती है. फीचर्स की लिस्ट यहाँ ख़त्म नहीं होती. यू ऑल्सो हैव वायरलेस चार्जिंग इन दिस कार, अ 12-volt सॉकेट राइट हियर इन द फ्रंट. ऑल्सो memory settings for the driver's seat. So features की list goes on, and you also get normal driving modes. यहाँ पर eco, normal, sport की आपको मोड मिलती है, and I quite like कि इसके लिए you have got conventional buttons की एक टच में वो एक्सेस मिलता है, and same thing for the aircon controls as well. So that is something which I quite like. Also the digital instrument cluster है right in front of me, looks very classy. You have got those conventional round dials for the speed and for the rev meter, जहाँ पर आपको typical hybrid कार के जैसे eco, charge और power mode शो करते हैं. जो इसका MID है, it has been executed quite nicely and quite well. So ये एक feedback मुझे काफ़ी अच्छा लगता है, and you have got ample information, fuel range, fuel economy, battery में कितना charge है, and you also have got settings for the head-up display. Yes, head-up display is also one more feature that you get in the Camry, और उसमें आपको क्या क्या information चाहिए वो सब आप यहाँ से set कर सकते हैं. Your music streaming, your navigation guidance, everything is available on the MID. So all the function, all the feature that you need on the go, you have right in front of the driver here. One of the major highlights for me inside the Toyota Camry is the ergonomics, because सारी चीज़ की पोजीशन यहाँ पर काफ़ी अच्छी है और काफ़ी अच्छे से एग्जीक्यूट किया गया है. सो प्रैक्टिकलिटी के टर्म्स में इट स्कोर्स रियली वेल. जो यहाँ पर कप होल्डर्स है, सो इफ़ आई वांट टू कीप माई कॉफ़ी मग या फिर बॉटल्स, you know, it's very handy for me to reach, so it's you know, in my easy access. Also wireless charging का जो position है, the pad is quite big, so you can store phones of all sizes, and इसके नीचे भी आपको एक काफ़ी अच्छा recess मिलता है फ़ोन रखने के लिए, so you can store multiple phones, your wallets. So in terms of practicality काफ़ी अच्छा space मिला हुआ है. And just look at this, the kind of storage you have inside the armrest. मैं यहाँ पर literally एक book भी रख सकता हूँ, and this is cooled glove box. So if you want to store big bottles, मतलब half liter की अगर आप cold drink की bottle डालना चाहें, और you know, if you want to keep some snacks, it's very convenient in those terms. So again, in terms of storage space, in terms of practicality, the cabin of the Camry scores really well. As I said, looks very classy and very urban. Also, Lexus inspired treatment आपको यहाँ पर देखने के लिए मिलते हैं, because remember, this is the Toyota version of the Lexus ES. So in terms of looks, you have the angular treatment going very strong for it. यहाँ पर आपको slim treatment मिलता है for the grille with subtle chrome highlights. Toyota badging sits very prominently right here up front, और यहाँ पर blue highlights होता है, which denotes that this is an electrified or hybrid car. Again, very nice and balanced contrast treatment you see on the bumper. Piano black finish है, काफ़ी widespread है, and नीचे तक भी extend होता है. Also in terms of chrome elements, बहुत ज़्यादा blingy नहीं है. Subtle treatment you have here on the side, C-shape जो आपको यहाँ पर ring मिलती है, and then the fog lights are very nicely integrated in the bumper. Up top, जो headlight assembly है, looks very sleek. Wraparound treatment है, projector headlights you have got here, and 3 motifs for the DRL patterns. Overall, you know, looks very classy and very edgy. And my personal favorite is the kind of character lines you get on the bonnet. Very nicely executed, not overly sharp, लेकिन flush finish काफ़ी अच्छा मिलता है. And in terms of design execution, you know, it's top notch. So overall, the urban appeal and the edgy look that you see on the Camry is something which looks very appealing to me. And then the design game gets accentuated when you walk towards the profile of this car, क्योंकि जो length है, you know, is quite long, 4885 millimeters to be precise, and 2825 millimeters का आपको यहाँ पर wheel base मिलता है. But I like how the mass has been executed, क्योंकि ये आपको बहुत overly long देखने के लिए नहीं लगता, because character line, shoulder line, you know, is been very nicely executed right here towards the rear end of the car. And जो door है यहाँ भी आपको काफ़ी even finish मिलता है, जो mass है उसको काफ़ी evenly spread किया गया है between all the panels. So in terms of execution, looks very nice. And then the rising shoulder line here towards the rear end again merges very beautifully. जो alloy wheels हैं, these are 18 inches in size, and dual tone treatment you have on the rims here looks very sporty and very nice, goes very well with the profile and with the design of the car. और जो टायर की profile है is also ample for Indian road conditions. And again, what I quite like is that chrome elements आपको बस ज़रूरत भर मिलते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा blingy नहीं होता like you have on the handle here and on the window line. So in terms of again appeal, that elegance in the design is carried over even to the profile. Now towards the rear, the first thing that attracts me is how beautifully the design has been executed and wrapped around towards the rear end of the car. जो line है ये काफ़ी अच्छे से smoothly flow होके यहाँ पर पीछे आती है, and the width is quite apparent. So 1840 millimeters to be precise, और 1455 millimeters का आपको यहाँ पर height मिलता है. Again, in terms of appeal, a good balance of elegance and sportiness. यहाँ पर आपको chrome treatment, again subtle use of chrome you see here. A wraparound LED treatment, and below on the bumper you have decent black contrast as well. So पीछे से again the car looks very classy, very elegant, and वो जो sense of upmarket है, that is very much apparent in the design. तो आखिरकार हमारा क्या ख्याल है about the Toyota Camry Hybrid? Well, if comfort, practicality and quality is what you're looking for, the Toyota Camry Hybrid fits your bill perfectly. And if you're not going to encounter any off-road situation, I think you can prefer it over any other SUV, and this is all the car you need.